The Mueller report is in, and Donald Trump starts a brand new phase in his presidency. Special counsel Robert Mueller didn't find that Trump's 2016 campaign or his associates conspired with Russia. Attorney General William Barr announced in a 4-page letter to Congress. Mueller's report essentially punted on the question of whether Trump committed obstruction of justice. Mueller's investigation did not conclude that the president obstructed justice, but it also didn't exonerate him. Barr and Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein made the decision the evidence was not sufficient to support prosecuting Trump. TV shows, video games, credit cards, and Oprah. Yes, Apple brought out everything but new iPhones yesterday when it announced its arrival into the increasingly crowded video streaming space. The tech giant will make its own TV shows and movies that can be found on its updated Apple TV Plus. It launches this fall, but Apple didn't reveal how much it will cost or how many shows will be available. Oprah Winfrey will have 2 new docuseries streaming on the service. Steven Spielberg was on hand because he'll have projects on Apple Plus too, which was something of a shocker to many after his recent comments about Netflix. Apple also introduced a digital newsstand called News Plus. Starting today, if you live in Rockland County, New York, you're under the age of 18 and you're not vaccinated, you're banned from public places. This extremely unusual step, which might be the first of its kind in the nation, is part of an effort by county officials to deal with a measles outbreak that started back in October. So far, 153 cases have been confirmed in the county just north of New York City. Measles is a highly contagious virus that is prevented with the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine, but county health officials said they have met resistance from people who might need to be vaccinated. It's a plot twist even Empire couldn't come up with. All 16 felony charges against actor Jussie Smollett, who'd been accused of staging a hate crime against himself, were dropped by Chicago prosecutors in a shock move that angered the city's mayor and police chief. What's more, Smollett's criminal record was wiped clean and records in the case were sealed, all in exchange for Smollett doing some community service and forfeiting his $10,000 bond. Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel and Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson were livid. They blasted Smollett and the county attorney's office. Emanuel repeatedly called it a whitewash of justice. Smollett said he'd been vindicated and had been truthful and consistent from the start. Emanuel and Johnson still say the whole hate crime claim was a hoax. Even a prosecutor said he still believes Smollett lied, but prosecutors otherwise said little about why the case against the actor was tossed, leading to a host of questions. Lost track of all the dizzying turns in this story? It might soon be useless to put the pedal to the metal if you're driving a new car in Europe. Starting in 2022, new cars sold in Europe will have to have systems designed to limit their speed. It's all part of new safety rules from the European Union. The new rules will also require crash data recorders and reversing cameras in cars. Safety advocates praised the new rules, and a European commissioner said the steps must be taken because some 25,000 people are killed on European roads each year. But others raised concerns about drivers possibly growing complacent and focusing less on road conditions, and some car makers worry about how the new technologies will be implemented. The EU rules must still be okayed by member states and the European Parliament. Republicans are scratching their heads and Democrats are jumping for joy after President Trump unexpectedly revived the healthcare battle. Trump said he's committed once again to repealing and replacing Obamacare after the Justice Department reversed course and told a federal court the entire Affordable Care Act should be struck down. Trump said the GOP will be the party of healthcare, but a lot of Republicans aren't eager to jump back into that battle after the drubbing the GOP took in the midterms over it. The politically sensitive spot in all this is what to do with people with pre-existing conditions. Covering them is a hallmark of Obamacare. Trump has promised to protect them, but hasn't unveiled a new plan showing how he'd do that. There's another controversy brewing for the world's biggest social media network. Facebook is being accused of enabling housing discrimination with its ads. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development charged Facebook with violating the Fair Housing Act. HUD claims the company lets landlords and home sellers who use its advertising platform dictate who sees housing-related ads based on race, religion, sex, disability, and other characteristics. Facebook said it was surprised by HUD's decision and noted it had been working with the department to address the concerns and had taken steps to prevent ad discrimination. The State Department announced this weekend that the U.S. is cutting off aid to El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras just one day after President Trump claimed the countries set up migrant caravans for entry into the United States. Acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney elaborated on the decision on Sunday, saying the countries could do more to mitigate the humanitarian crisis at the southern border. The president has long placed the blame for the migrant crisis at the southern border on the Central American countries from which many of the migrants come. In October, he tweeted a threat to cut off aid from the same countries, saying they were not able to do the job of stopping people from leaving their country and coming illegally to the U.S. It's not clear how much money would be withheld, but some experts say halting aid isn't effective in reducing the number of migrants heading toward the U.S. The fight between Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos and the National Enquirer just got even uglier. If you recall, earlier this year, Bezos vowed to launch an investigation into how the tabloid got hold of text messages that confirmed an extramarital affair that allegedly played a part in the recent dissolution of his marriage. Now, an investigator working for Bezos has claimed that Saudi Arabia had access to information on Bezos' phone before the photos and texts were leaked. The investigator didn't offer any evidence, but the intense claim definitely raises the stakes of this scandal. Bezos had previously implied that AMI, the National Enquirer's parent company, tried to extort him to please either President Trump or the Saudi government. Bezos owns the Washington Post, a perceived political adversary of both Trump and the Saudi government. The horses are out of the gate for the 2020 presidential race, and we're already seeing several stumbles. Over the weekend, probable Democratic candidate Joe Biden had to answer to allegations from Nevada Democratic politician Lucy Flores that the former VP made her feel uneasy by smelling her hair and kissing the back of her head at a campaign rally in 2014. Biden responded, saying he's never felt as if he's acted inappropriately. Elsewhere in crisis management, Pete Buttigieg was chided by Hillary Clinton's former campaign manager for remarks he made in January about her campaign, seemingly criticizing Clinton for implying America was already great in her messaging. Buttigieg defended the comments, saying he has enormous respect for her and she was ill-served by a strategy and media environment.